How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about OCGN. Ended up having a strong performance during regular trading hours, seeing a high of $4.53. Like I was saying in my previous video, if it could hold $4 for the entire week, it looks good for the stock. But then we ended up getting a press release inside of the after hours that has kind of changed everything in regards to momentum. I'll talk about it further in the video. I won't waste any more time. Let's get into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder or you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for OCGN. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $4.23, being up 22.25%. Do keep in mind, inside of the after hours, it did have a pullback going to $3.65 at the time of this recording. Now, when we take a look at the low, on the low it tested $3.72, and then on the high testing $4.53. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 68.328 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days, it is at 12.951 million shares. So right away we had well above the average in regards to volume, and it's part of the reasons why we saw a lot of strength during regular trading hours. Now when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, we can see from the RSI down below it is at 56.05, and then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, we are above the 21-day EMA, and also for the 50-day. So one of the things that I want to bring to your attention, we ended up seeing a high of $4.53. So you know, if you were able to gain a bit more momentum and we had a bit more strength inside of the markets, we could have easily gotten to this $5 level, which is a psychological area for OCGN. Also taking into consideration of the fact going into tomorrow, and we do have the pullback that occurred, this stock could pull back all the way to around $3.30. I did say that in the previous video as well, because they do have earnings that is coming up on February the 25th, and we know that they burned through a lot of cash, and it's part of the reasons why it contributed to the press release that we had inside of the after hours today. So that's just one thing that you're going to want to pay attention to. If it could hold up this $4 level, so coming back into regular trading hours tomorrow and being above 4, that could be a really good look to still set it up for a nice pump. But overall, I'm just not seeing it considering the conditions that we have and the recent news that came out. So for now, it's going to continue to look bearish, so keep an eye on this play if you are vested in it. So now let's go on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for OCGN. So scrolling down on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at recent filings for the 22nd, you can see we don't have any new or closed positions, but what we do see here, we have institutions who have actually lowered their positions. As you can see for Voya Russell ITM Small Cap Index Portfolio Class ADV, that was a mouthful, they ended up reducing their position by 36.52%. We also have Penn Series Fund Inc. that ended up reducing their position by 37.21%. And we also have Wilshire 5000 Index Fund Investment Class that also lowered their position by 25% as well. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, The off-exchange short volume ratio is at 48.49%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is at 908,528 shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 0, updated 14 minutes ago, and then for the short ball fee rate, we can see for the latest, it is at 17.81, and for the high of the day at the max, it was at 21.70. And now when we take a look at the history of the short volume on the close of the 17th, it was at 57.47, and then for the close of the 18th being at 48.49. So one thing that remains the same, OCGN does have short squeeze potential. So now let's move on to the order flow distribution.
Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for OCGN. So we see here on the inflow, it's at 45.10, and then on the outflow, it is at 42.69. So it was an inflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 0.56. On the medium, it was 24.01, and then on the small, it was 20.53. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 1.00. On the medium, it was 24.28. And then on the small, it was 17.41. And keep in mind, these numbers are in the millions. And then when we take a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for today, February the 22nd, it being that large outflow of 439.9. And to kind of break it down further, it's 439,000, just a bit over that. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying, but it was still fairly close. And then when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 34.65%. No surprises there due to the fact that there was a lot of volume coming into the stock and you're going to have a lot of liquidity. But one thing to be aware of though, after what happened inside of the after hours in regards to the sell-off, you're going to want to see how well the price can stabilize itself going into regular trading hours. I'll talk about that further inside of the final thoughts. Let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for OCGN, before we get started, let's go over the recent press release that came out in the after hours. Ocugen today has announced that it has commenced an underwritten public offering of its common stock. In addition, Ocugen expects to grant to the underwriter a 30-day option to purchase up to an additional 15% of shares of the common stock sold in the public offering. All of the securities in the offering are to be sold by Ocugen. The offering is subject to market and other customary closing conditions, and there can be no assurance as to whether or when the offering may be completed or as to the actual size or terms of the offering. Ocugen intends to use the net proceeds of the proposed offering for general corporate purposes, capital expenditures, working capital, and general and administrative expenses. So one thing that I want to tell you guys, this is not surprising whatsoever. We know they're going to need a lot of capital, and we do know they have been burning through a lot of cash. So these are the risks that you need to take into consideration when you're doing your homework and your due diligence. We also do know they have earnings that's coming out on February the 25th, so that was going to contribute to even more volatility. And in the previous video, I was saying it could pull back to around $3.30. Inside of the after hours right now, it is around $3.68, and it looks like it might make that move going to $3.70. But going into tomorrow during regular trading hours will be the deciding factor. Are we going to have a lot of people who are going to be selling, or are we going to be able to actually hold up the 360 level or even the 350 level at the minimum? So if you are a shareholder in this play, you're going to want to keep a very close eye. And if you want to add to your position, because I know a lot of you do believe in the long-term prospects of the company, then I would be patient and wait for them to release earnings, because you might be able to get it at an even better deal. So overall, in regards to the price action, you want to see if it could hold up $3.50 and see if it can make a potential move where it can get above $3.75, because then the likelihood of getting to $4 does become very high. But do know there are a good amount of bag holders in this play, and after getting this recent announcement, I can see the stock pulling back. I know I sound like a broken record, but I just want to make sure that you guys are prepared. And also after the FDA decision, we have analysts that are coming out and expressing how bullish they are about the play. And as far as regards for the consensus rating, it is around $10.33. So that is more than a 100% upside from the current stock price. So this is why doing your homework, doing your due diligence, and finding out if this play is right for you is very essential before you jump into it. And when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we could see institutions have been loading up on shares. Plus, on top of that, OCGN does have short squeeze potential. We know there's a good amount of negative market sentiment around the stock, and these are part of the reasons why when we have increased buying volume or when we have a strong catalyst, we can make moves to the upside. And to answer your next question, I still haven't decided to go in with a position as of yet. I expressed the same concerns in my last video, saying that there's a lot of volatility. We know there's going to be a lot of work ahead for them to launch covaxin in Canada and as well as for the United States, and it's going to take a lot of time. So there's no point rushing into a position or having FOMO whatsoever. But considering the market conditions that we are in and the way the market is treating companies who are not profitable and who burn through cash, I feel it's very important in regards to investment decisions. We have to be a lot more cautious with the companies we decide to invest in, because at the end of the day, if you're investing in the company, that means you believe in the long term and what they can achieve, and if the stock pulls back, you'll be willing to add more. But if you're looking for a swing trade, or you don't want to be in this play for too long, or you're not going to be willing to add on the dips, then you have to make sure that you come up with a game plan that is right for you. Just don't follow the herd. Don't be listening to all of these crazy price targets that you hear. You got to do your homework and make sure whatever position that you take, that you feel very confident. Like I said before, this is a different year. This is not 2020 and this is not 2021. Be serious about your investments and as well as for your trading setups. So let's see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and we'll be talking real soon.